Go for it.
Action, activate. Here we come. There they go. Evil runs, 'cause they know we're super soldiers. We got cool clothes. You real smooth when you see our pose. Action! Energize! Mask on! Time to ride! Combine! Grease ties! Side beam!
Hey, welcome back to Action Activate. I am Gazbot, better known here as the Gazbot Knight, and with me as always,
The Big Dawg Defender.
yes, the Big Dawg Defender who has been having trouble with Evox scrambling his signal, so we're going to push through that. If you watch our show, you know that normally what we're talking about is Power Rangers or Power Rangers related things, and when Beast Morphers or whatever the current season is on, we'll be discussing those episodes. But we're in a hiatus, so we've been doing a lot of fun and games and things like that. And in between, we've started doing some interviews. Last week we had Matt who was talking about Red Fox, and this week we have someone else, someone even a little bit closer to the fandom. You might even say someone who was inside the special zone of Power Rangers right when the magic first hit, right when it was Morphin the Mightiest, and that person is, of course, Steve Andreno. There he is. Or is he? Hey, there he is.
There he is.
Steve Andreno, why would you be holding up a figure in front of your face like that? I don't understand.
Because that is me. I had an action figure back in 1994. The action figure actually came out before I got in the costume, but I'll take what I can get.
Yes, certainly. Most of us don't have an action figure at all, so you're winning right there.
It's true.
So, for those that don't know, this is Steve. Steve played Baboo on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in the suit. Originally, there was a Japanese actor, but went on many seasons in America, and so they needed an American actor. In comes Steve. And I believe you did it for the first two, season 2 and 3 primarily. Is that correct?
That is correct. It was actually the first time I got in the suit, other than trying it on to see if they wanted me for the part, was to film a scene for episode 59.
Wow.
Next to last episode of season 1, but I ended up on the cutting room floor. So.
So technically you were in season 1, but nobody saw it.
Yes, exactly.
All right, cool. Well, we got a lot to talk about. I have a little picture in the middle here now for those who can see, and this is Steve back in his beginning nascent acting career days, a headshot. Was this around the same time you were Baboo, or is this pre-Baboo?
Pre-Baboo by like a few months.
Okay, so this is the headshot that was like leading the way to your more phenomenal transformation.
Absolutely.
All right, well, do you want to talk a little bit maybe about how you got into acting, like why you got into acting, how you started? Because I'm imagining you didn't go, hey, I'm going to be an actor and get on Power Rangers. There had to be a little bit before that.
There was a little bit before that. It was actually in college. I didn't do any theater acting in high school.
Mm-hmm.
I went away to engineering school to fall in love with acting.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Kind of a weird way to get there. No, I spent one not so glorious year at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute,
Right.
RPI, and friend of mine said, "Hey, they're doing auditions for the play tonight. Why don't you come on down?" And I'm like, "I've never acted before. I'm not going to do that." He's like, "No, come on. It'll be fun. We'll hit a party afterwards." All right.
So the party is what sold you on acting.
Oh, exactly. So I went down there, auditioned for this part, for this play, left, went to the party. The next night, I'd been at a party, and I walked back past the theater. I said, "Oh, let me pop my head back in just to see what's going on." And I was slightly inebriated. and the director says, "Oh, good, Steve, I'm glad you're here. I need you to read again."
Mm.
And I'm like, okay. So I sat down with the script, started looking at it, started not feeling well, went to the bathroom, came back out, read the scene, went back to the room, knocked out. Woken up by banging on my door the next morning at about 7 o'clock.
Always pleasant.
What's going on? And my friend Ron is saying, "Hey, you got the lead in the play."
Wow.
Like, "No, I didn't." He's like, "Yes, you did." And I said, "You know what? All right, I'm going to get up just to prove you wrong. Ha ha, funny on me." And I went down and I got the lead in this play. And I'm like,
what was the play?
"Oh, it's called The Adding Machine."
Okay.
An old play from the 1920s, written by Elmer Rice.
Hmm.
And the character's name was Mr. Zero.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't great for my esteem at the time. Yes, great being in the play, but the kind of a loser type character. But I did that and just really fell in love with it.
That's awesome.
Did it there. Left. This was all in New York. A couple of years later, moved to California
Okay.
and met somebody at a bar one night who was just so excited because she had just moved out there from Chicago and she was going to hit the acting scene. And I'm like, oh yeah, I live out. I was in Orange County, not LA, but I'm like, well, wait a minute. I love acting. How come I'm not doing this? So I literally stopped going to the bar, found an acting class, started in this class.
So both times though, you kind of sideways fell into remembering you liked acting, even though you were doing
Exactly.
something else. That's funny.
Exactly. Now that led into me being in Power Rangers because I joined a theater group
Hmm.
where the acting classes were, and one of the other ladies in the group said, "Oh, hey guys, anybody that's interested, I just signed up with this extra agency, and they do casting for this new kid show called Power Rangers. They're looking for kids that look like they can be in high school."
Right.
Okay.
And
So I
judging
signed up.
by your headshot, you could pass for high school at that time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, no graying beard,
Yeah, most high school kids, their beards are not gray yet.
No, not so much. Not so much. So I went down to the agency, signed up. A couple of days later, they called me. Hey, we need you. Come down to Power Rangers. But actually, this is something a little different.
Hmm.
They said we need a couple of kids to dress up as punks, is what they called them.
Okay.
Basically, bad kids
Right.
that were in detention with
Mhm.
Bulk and Skull.
Let me.
Now, mind you,
Is this? I'm gonna pull up a picture here. Is that what
Yes,
this
it
picture
is.
is from?
yes, that is what
Okay.
that picture
Please
is
continue.
from. It's a little bit behind for me, but I already know what you're.
Okay. Yeah.
There it is. Yes. So my thought is, well, I want to do that. I don't want to be just a regular kid in the hallway, in the back, in the juice bar, wherever it's going to be, because I
Right.
don't know where they're going to put me. I know for sure I'm going to get at least my face seen if I do this.
Yeah.
So I dress in the jean jacket and concert type T-shirt. Of course, you couldn't see anything because of
Copyright.
copyright.
Yeah.
So I do that. Great. And then because of that, I did a lot more sitting around than some of the other kids did. Well, they literally, this is my first day on the set. I haven't had a chance to watch the show yet.
Right.
And they say, hey, we need somebody to fit this costume. You need to be they said 5'8" with a size 10 shoe. They asked another kid to try it on first. He comes out and he's walking around. They're like, yeah, it just doesn't look right on you. Steve, why don't you give it a try? All right. So I get into it. Moves around. I fit pretty good. I can move in it well. And they're like, well, okay, how are you with makeup? I said, I've done theater before, stage makeup. I'm fine with
You
that.
were Mr.
Okay.
Zero. I mean, come on.
Exactly. There you go. So they said, okay, we'll give you a call Monday. We're shooting on location on Tuesday. Okay.
That's
Great.
pretty quick.
And that was the episode, the scene that got cut
Oh,
from the end of season 1.
From
Right.
season 1,
Basically,
yeah.
Right. It was the scene. Okay, so if you remember, the episode is when they use the dark power coins to turn putties into evil copies of the Rangers, and Goldar's
Right.
on the beach trying to train them up. The scene before that is me and Squat digging up the box that holds the power coins on this same beach.
Right.
Zuma Beach in California is very famous for being used in movies and TV shows for whatever reason, just because of where it's at. And so that was the beach I went to. I got there, spent an hour in makeup. We shot my one scene. 3 hours later, I'm cleaned up. I'm ready to go. I'm done.
Right.
Okay. And I said, okay, well, that was great, guys. Thank you so much. If you need me again, for this monster, just let me know. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I don't, how often you use this monster when you need it. Like, no, this is a regular character on the show. You're it now. Now, I'm like, okay. Well, how often do you use this character? They're like, well, he's in almost every episode. I said, well, yeah, but how often do you shoot? They're like, 2 to 3 days a month. We can knock out a week's worth of episodes usually, unless we need you on location for a shot like this. I'm like, okay, I'm done. And thankfully, I had a 9 to 5 job at the time
Right.
that would let me use my sick days, use my vacation days, and when I ran out of those, literally I was taking unpaid days to go do this.
Right. And were you still considered an extra, like on the books, or were you?
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm glad you asked that.
Okay.
And I'll give a little bit of background too. At the time, because we're talking 25 years ago now,
Right.
an extra, just one of the kids in the hall, got
Right.
paid what they called scale for that, or the regular pay was 40/8.
Okay.
That means you got $40 for the day for an
Right.
8-hour day.
Okay.
But it's an 8-hour minimum. So literally, if 25 people come down as extras and go, we only need 22 of you, Gazbot, Big Dawg, Steve, you guys can go. You still got paid your $40 for the 8 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
So that works out. And then hours 9 and 10 were time and a half.
Right.
11 and 12 is double time.
Gotcha.
13 and up is triple time.
Okay.
That was California law, and I think it still is. Because I was in the costume and had to deliver lines, although they already had a voiceover artist, so
Right.
no, it's not my voice.
You're like the David Prowse of Power Rangers. That he played Darth Vader.
Played Darth Vader.
Yeah,
yes.
for those that don't
Yeah.
know.
Because in Darth Vader, he got the credit on the screen and not James Earl Jones.
I thought James
Whereas
Earl Jones got a voice credit late further down, didn't he, or no?
Not on the first one. I think he did for the second and third.
Oh,
The first
okay.
one, I don't think he's listed at all. I could be wrong, but usually they only credit the voice because that's what you hear, and you don't see anybody.
Right.
I was a little different because you could see this much.
The little heart of your
Um,
face. Let me pause real quick. I just want to address chat. We got a bunch of people hanging out.
Oh sure. Sure.
And the Immortal Red Fox says the real Baboo. And then and then we got Matt Kendall Clare said, hey, I've been here for a bit, but haven't anything yet good to ask, but good question to me, Gaz. So thank you. I'm glad. And then looks like we lost Defender again. And then Erzuki says the morphingist. So thanks everybody who's
Can you
hanging
guys
out.
hear me?
Yes, you're back
Now we
now.
can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Feel free to hang out.
As my video cuts in and out, I've been tracking it based on Twitch. So apologies in advance for the Evox issues once again.
Shocker captured the big dog. All right, yeah, but if you have any questions for Steve or anything, throw them out. All right, so Steve.
I do.
Okay.
I have questions. Yeah, if that's okay. So you had mentioned kind of the 40/8 and the initial scene at the beach. Is there any scene or episode in particular that kind of stands out to you so far later that you remember very fondly that you had shot?
There are some. Give me 1 second. I want to finish up what I was saying, though.
Yeah.
I appreciate the question.
Oh, go for it, please.
But I was considered a special extra because I had to deliver lines and had to get in the costume. So my scale was 75/8
Oh, I see.
with the same overtime applied. And there was quite a few times that we'd work 12 or longer hour days, even if I'm only actually in the costume in front of camera for 2 or 3.
That's
I think
nice.
4 or 5 was about the longest I was ever on camera. As far as what stands out to me, this is lead into what you just asked. There was one day I got stuck in the costume.
You mean
Like
you don't
physically
mean
stuck?
Yeah, you mean physically stuck?
I mean, okay, because it was the original costume from Sentai. This wasn't a
Right.
remake. It was the original costume.
Right.
They literally had to patch any holes and repaint it the night before they were going to use it to make it camera ready.
Right.
We're shooting on location at Griffith Park in the caves there for scenes where Squat and I were tending to and feeding and taking care of the Tengas, the Tenga
Gotcha.
warriors.
Right.
I put the costume on, and it was the feet were separate. They were like boot size, like low boots. The head was separate. Everything else was one piece. So I had to step into the costume, stick my hands all the way into the arms, and somebody would zip me up in the back. Well, they had patched a hole in the wrist. And as soon as I put my hand in, I had to force my hand into the costume. So I said, okay, guys, I'm going to tell you right now, patch is too tight. If I take my hand out, I'm going to rip the costume. They said, okay, great. Thanks for telling us. You can't get out of it now. Whoa. What do you mean I can't get out of it? I'm like, they're like, we're on location. We have no way to patch it or do anything with it. You need to stay in the costume. Now it's about 30 degrees warmer inside the costume because all it is foam rubber and latex.
Yeah.
And so I would unzip. They would unzip and back, and I would kind of sit and hunch to kind of open up to get a little bit of airflow. And I'm like, okay, struggled with it. Then comes time for lunch. Well, I don't know. You can't quite tell from the costume, but the fingernails on the costume were about yay much longer than the fingers. So I couldn't pick up a knife and fork to even eat.
Oh,
I'm
man.
like, okay. I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do with that? And they're like, oh, we'll get one of the PAs to do it. They'll feed you. I'm like, what? I'm like, are you serious? They're like, that's their job. And for a split second, Clockwork Orange ran through my head, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that to these people. No. But I literally had somebody cutting my steak and feeding me.
That's amazing. In the picture I just put up, you can kind of see the claws, and it.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely tell you can't eat with those. That's amazing.
Yeah, not at all.
So now, was that how many hours total were you working that day, if you remember? Is it one of those 13-hour days, or?
No, that was on location. It usually wasn't that long. I'm going to say it was probably like an 8 or 9 hour day, maybe.
Okay.
Which, again, there's drinks, food. One of the cool things about Rangers was they had one of the best catering companies, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but just besides getting the pay I was getting, which was a little more than I was making at my regular job.
Right.
You get fed breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
You get fed lunch.
Right.
And if you go real late, they'll buy dinner. Usually, burgers at a fast food place or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you ate well.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get stuck in the suit, you literally get fed.
Fed, exactly. Exactly. That's okay.
I would say, related to the suit stuff, one of the questions we had from social media, I think it was on Facebook, was Steve Duncan, just said, how did it feel to be in a suit 24/7, which is a bit of an exaggeration, but,
Yeah. Well, what would happen? I'd get to the set. I'd go to makeup to do the makeup first. Light blue from mid mouth up, the dark blue down, a little white around the eyes and the lips.
Right.
After that, I would eat. Yeah, they do makeup first because they wanted me ready. I would eat. They could do touch up, and then I got in a black spandex bodysuit. So that's what I was in all day long. And then it would be when we're ready to shoot. Okay, get the monster. They would just basically say suit up.
Right.
And they would have people help the monster suit up. And we'd get in front of the camera. We'd block it out. We'd get our sides at the beginning of the day, and I didn't send you any, but the sides is just basically a copy of the script, but just the scenes you're shooting for that day. You don't get the full script for every episode. So we'd go over the sides when we were waiting.
Now, was that because they were worried the story would get out, or because they were too cheap to print the whole thing, or why would they not give you the whole script?
No, that's standard for any time you're doing TV, because I don't need to see 50 pages of script and leaf through to find whatever scenes we're shooting.
Right.
I had sent you some of those, the call sheets. Sometimes they were separate. Sometimes they were stapled to the sides, and you would you'll see on there, it'll show what episode number dash, and then another number, which is the scene number you were shooting.
Right.
You only care about the scenes you're shooting. I didn't have the script to see all of the Rangers' lines. I didn't need them. This is what we're shooting today. This is the lines you need to know.
And I guess I was thinking, but you won't know what's going on, but your character wouldn't know what was going on except for the scenes they were in, so that makes sense. Sort of a method by accident.
Yes, it is. I forgot what I was saying before that now.
Well, you think about that. I'll look at chat. We got a few people chatting. We got Baboo Lover. She seems to enjoy your work.
I wonder why. Hi, wifey.
She's saying hello. Matt Kendall is saying hello. Mortal Red Fox said, I had no idea the monster suits were the originals from the Sentai. How about that? Too bad they couldn't get the Dragon Shield. Yeah, I also I didn't know at what point they switched over and started building new suits. So did you always use the same Japanese suit, or at some point did you get a newly made American suit?
No, it was always the same. And I remember, because I said I'll get in the spandex first and then get into the suit. I said, realistically, the most amount of time I spent in the suit, other than getting stuck in it the one day, 3 to 4 hours is probably the most time I spent in front of camera.
Gotcha.
Now, when they would do, they would call for, okay, cut. If we were going right away, they would just say, we're going right away. We're going again, back to one, back to your initial spots. Let's do it. if they knew they got the scene they wanted and they needed to change lighting or reset for something else, it would be okay. Cut, pull the heads, and they would take the head off of every monster
Gotcha.
except me.
Oh.
Because again, I had the open face, so I could breathe easier.
Yeah.
Plus, I had makeup, so they don't want to smear the makeup, taking it on and off every time.
Yeah.
So now the problem with that, if you remember, if you can kind of see there, the suit is the head goes up to about here,
Right.
and this is literally all foam, rubber, and latex sitting
Just
on
trapping
top
the
of my
heat.
head.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when it finally, if I'm shooting for an hour straight, then they pull it, it would start to like rain.
Oh yeah.
Almost.
Wouldn't that didn't run the makeup?
It did, and that's when they would only pull it when they knew they had time. Okay, they're resetting the scene, setting out, changing camera angles or changing lights, and makeup would come over and touch me up off to the side while we're getting ready to do it.
Gotcha.
And then of course they'd pull them for lunch and get back. But I mean, there's times I used to have to be in the makeup chair at 5:30.
Mm-hmm.
There would be times I didn't get in front of the camera in the suit till after lunch.
Wow. Okay, so you basically just looked like a mime in a black
Pretty
suit
much.
walking around. So let me ask you this. One of the pictures you sent, and I've been putting them up as we talked, this is your personal behind-the-scene photos that you shared with us, so thank you for that,
Yes.
by the way. There's one where you're in the
Thank
full rubber monster suit, but you don't have the headdress on. And you're
Right.
next to Squat, who is played by Melanie
Neat.
Neat, yes. And so the two of
Yes.
you are there without the heads on. What was going on there? If you normally keep the head on, was this a makeup touch-up, or was that the end of the day, or how did that occur?
I don't remember if that was the end of the day or just we were getting ready to break for lunch. Basically, what I did, again, not quite knowing how big the show was going to be,
Right.
or actually was starting to be at that point, I just figured this is, I may never get this opportunity again. So I literally brought a camera, like a little disposable camera that's got, 27 shots in it. Asked the PA, hey, could you do me a favor? Can we take some pictures? And he goes, and he just went around and got some great shots.
Very
Like
smart.
I said, I'm going to assume this is us getting ready to break for lunch, or but yeah.
But that's so great that it wasn't, you didn't do it to preserve a piece of history or have some, you were just like, hey, this is a fun thing I'm doing in my life. And accidentally you captured this piece of iconic American history, basically.
Exactly. I mean, I tried to keep all my sides on, the call sheets. I kept as much as I could, just because I'm like,
why not?
This is fun.
Yeah.
And then finding out how big it was getting.
Right.
And that led to me doing a lot of other things. Like when I go to a couple of the conventions I've been to, and I'll talk to the Rangers, I did a lot of stuff that they knew nothing about. They were never even contacted about. For example, because the show got so big so fast, I got called in one day because they wanted me to appear in a different costume at the Fox Network Board of Directors meeting at the Beverly Hilton Hotel.
Okay.
Yes.
But not as Baboo?
Not as Baboo. They had me as a different monster.
Okay.
They had a whole, conference room set up, auditorium style with chairs, one guy, running through the slideshow, because we didn't have PowerPoint back then. It was literally a slideshow.
Right.
And they had this great idea of whoever was hosting and giving this talk. They wanted, when he calls for the slides, I came in I believe it was Beamcaster or Fighting Flea. I'm not sure which, because I've done a couple of different ones.
Right.
I come in carrying the slide tray. So there's a monster bringing the slide trays into this meeting.
Oh, I wish there were pictures of that.
Oh, he says, oh no, it's a monster. He ducks behind the curtain, and a split second later, out comes a Red Ranger.
Right.
Full helmet and everything, and does the, you out of here now, or, and I
That's so
literally
cool.
throw the slide trays up and run out. That was it.
Right.
Okay.
And I got paid my $75 for the short time I was there.
Right.
And I was bought lunch at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. I got room service while I was waiting.
Oh, nice.
That's pretty awesome. Quick,
easy day, done.
Right. That's really cool. And meanwhile, a lot of the Ranger actors that had no idea that stuff was even going on.
Right. I did where they were located. For anybody that knows Southern California, I'm gonna make this simple. I lived in Orange County, very close to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
This was a non-union show. They did not shoot in Hollywood.
Right.
They shot north of Hollywood in Valencia by Magic Mountain.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
It was 75 miles for me one way to get to the studio.
Wow.
And I had to be in makeup at 5:30, so I'm leaving my house at 4 o'clock in the morning.
So this was definitely a passion, and this wasn't
Oh.
you cashing a paycheck because you're on. This was you loved doing it.
No, I absolutely love doing it.
Right.
And it's funny because I was looking on some of the websites that talk about the show and review episodes and just whatever. One of them I was looking at talks about, it seems like the character of Baboo really changed once second season started. He got shorter, and, I'm like, well, again, never having seen it before. The first scene I did digging in the sand, and they said celebrate. I'm all like, ooh, yeah, evil, scary monster. And they're like, no. No, these guys aren't that. These guys are the flunkies who get sent out to get coffee. These are the goofy ones.
Right.
So I'm like, oh, start playing it goofy. And I still played it kind of like Wizard of Oz flying monkey type.
That really shows. That really shows.
Then I see the show, and then I see, Baboo's always standing up straight. I'm going, oh, ooh. And they're like, don't worry about it. Just keep doing the way you're doing it.
Well, you were doing your version. I mean, it's like
Exactly.
a new actor comes in, it's you're gonna put your spin on it. Why not?
Right.
And you weren't, and that's the thing, especially after season 1, the Power Rangers weren't so beholden to the Zoo Ranger footage. It really started becoming a different thing, and your version of the character became different than the Japanese version, even more so.
And I can justify it by saying Lord Zed comes on as the new head villain, and he was a lot scarier than Rita, which is actually why they brought Rita back.
I heard
the whole
that.
reason for doing that was Zed was seen as being a little too scary.
Right.
He was kind of intimidating to look at. Basically, it's a guy with all his skin ripped off, and you see the muscle. That's kind of freaky as it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't even have a mouth that you can see move like the other monsters do. He's just got the face, eyepiece, and the grill.
Yeah.
Robert Axelrod, the voice he did for him was fantastic, but it was scary. So they're like,
it was, yeah.
We need to lighten him up a little bit. How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to bring in Rita. We'll bring her back.
Give him a little love triangle.
The problem is, Rita was from the original Sentai. What do? We have the costume. We don't have someone that's going to look exactly like her.
Right.
Which is why they came up with the storyline of let's bring her back, put her in Zed's rejuvenation chamber to make her younger. Now we have a young Rita. Yay, here we go.
And I appreciate that they went to the bother of doing that, but probably most of the kids wouldn't have even known the difference, because they're not paying that close attention to. Let me interrupt real quick because there's a lot going on in chat that we've been missing.
Oh, absolutely.
Basically everyone is loving your stories. Dolly Girl, Baboo, everyone's just, I love these stories, and I agree. I'm right there with them. Some of these I've heard, some of them I have not, and I'm loving it. I keep forgetting I'm running the show, and I think I'm just listening,
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. You're making my job easy. The Immortal Red Fox said, Steve,
it's very captivating. That's why.
Yeah. The Immortal Red Fox says, Steve, what were your feelings on the 93 movie with regards to them essentially omitting Squat and Baboo and replacing them with that random pig guy?
Okay, all right.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Hit a nerve.
Doubly so for me, I have always wanted to visit Australia.
Oh.
They announced the movie at that Fox Network board meeting, so I might have known about it possibly before the Rangers did.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, this is going to be great. And then I hear it's going to be in Australia, and we're not taking you and Squat. And I'm like, really? And then they come up with Ivan Ooze, and that pig thing is about the best thing I can say about him. Yeah, I was hurt.
Right.
But on the flip side, what ended up happening was it seemed to me I got used a lot more because the movie was behind in production. Then they needed to start filming for the episodes. They started writing the monster parts a little bigger to fill up more screen time because they're in Australia filming the movie, and they had to film some of the parts of the episodes down there too.
Gotcha.
So it was how to combine that. So I technically got more screen time out of it.
Right.
but I'd rather have visited Australia.
Yeah, bittersweet.
You're just trying to see the silver lining in it at this point,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly.
Nice. Let me just finish chat. Evox keeps getting Defender. Baboo Lover says we were at the premiere of the movie, I guess.
Yes, they did. They had. Well, they had a. I'm assuming they had multiple premieres because the premiere we were at it wasn't the red carpet with the Rangers,
Mm-hmm.
but I think they gave a lot of cast and crew and family and friends passes to go see it. So we got to see the movie for free.
Right.
We got Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie T-shirt,
Oh,
which
that's cool.
unfortunately I no longer have. I have no idea what happened to that.
Oh man.
And it came with like a little plastic Halloween type bucket, one of those round buckets that had the stuff on it. And again, I have no idea where that ended up. I've moved quite a bit since then.
Right. Immortal Red Fox says, let's get you to a con in Australia, man.
Hey, I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
ready to go anywhere.
Right.
There you go. Well, let's step back a little bit because we're talking about a lot of production stuff, which is very, very cool. Let me go back to the interview show shot. And you sent some of these call sheets, which people might not be familiar with. I'll put them up on the screen now. Do you want to explain what this is to people that have no idea?
Okay. So for anyone that's never been on a movie set, this is what's called a call sheet. What this is, it talks about these are handed out normally at the end of the day to all the cast and crew, so they know who's needed the next day. This is where we're going to be, where we're going to be, if it's a different location, on location, or if it's just at the studio, and which stage we're going to be shooting on. What time the call time is in the center. The one you've got up there says second unit. Again, just a movie TV term. Second unit is usually different director than the main director. They're usually shooting location shots or action shots that might not use the actual cast members. That'll use stunt people sometimes.
Right.
So anytime I was on location, it was going to be considered a second unit shot for the most part. Under that to the left, you'll see these are the actual scenes we're shooting for the day, and it's a description of the scene. The next column has got the scene number. It's actually the episode number dash the scene number.
And I did notice it shows several episode numbers on this one sheet. So you'd be shooting out of order, I guess.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Not only do you not shoot each episode in sequential order, because it doesn't make sense to shoot a scene with the kids in the juice bar, then we're going to shoot the scene in the palace, then we're going to go shoot another scene in the juice bar, But yeah, like I said, we would shoot multiple scenes, especially, if we were in the studio. Like I said, there's times I've had call sheets that had 8 or 9 different episodes listed on them.
Right.
Oh wow.
Now,
and they'll list the numbers.
Is that because of Power Rangers specifically, or because I know shows shoot out of order, but do you think like a show like Friends, just off the top, do you think they were shooting multiple episodes at the same time as well, or?
I would assume not with something like that. Don't forget when we were doing the first couple seasons of Power Rangers, it was a daily show.
Oh, that's true.
It was 5 episodes. It was 5 episodes a week, so we had to crank out. And the initial thought was, well, they got to do 40 episodes, and then it got so big, we need 10 more.
Right.
And then when they started shooting episode 51, they said, oh yeah, did we say 10 more? No, we mean 20 more. So then it was like, they used up a lot of their footage, and that's when I think was part of the reason they said, well, let's just create a new head villain than Lord Zed, and that'll give us a little more original footage that we can shoot, and have to rely less on the stock footage. And then of course, so you have the numbers of the actors, and that corresponds to further down on the list. You see, and of course, they have all the regular actors there listed. The regular Rangers, and even if they're not being used, and then whoever else had to be on set. And again, sometimes that gets real long if you're doing big scenes, or scenes where you have a lot of people.
Right.
Yeah. So for example, in this case, so you can see where it says hold. Nothing that was being shot that day needed any of those actors.
But hold means that they had to be available, I guess.
No, hold means we're going to hold them. We don't need them today.
Okay.
This particular one, now that you zoomed in, and I see exactly what it was. This is a scene from Best Man for the Job. I had to think about it for a second.
Wow.
I was looking at it earlier. This is the one. Well, the reason I looked at this is because this is the scene where Squat and Baboo trip Tommy and Kimberly in the park.
Okay.
They're both running for
Oh, class president.
class
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
and
their
then
rivalry the whole episode.
exactly. So we tripped them with this rope, and then all of a sudden they're mad at each other.
Right.
So
Okay. And so
yeah,
and so on the call sheet, that's why it has Jason Frank, Amy Jo Johnson, Steve Andreno, which your name is spelled wrong there.
yeah.
Yeah, and
I've
Melanie.
got it
Yeah.
spelled with two N's there. I have another one where it's spelled without an N. And again, this is towards the end of this is third season. So they spelled it right for most of second season, and then started spelling it wrong. But
Speaking of seasons,
yeah,
I have this. It has. So I guess you came on when were you there when the original three, like Walter Jones and Austin St. John and those guys were still on the show?
yes,
Okay, so you
yes,
were
they
there
were
during
still
that.
there, right? Because that was about 20 some odd episodes into second season.
Okay.
What I can tell you, what I know about that,
Mm-hmm.
all Twee, Walter, and Austin, all from what I understand,
Mm-hmm.
all had the same agent.
Okay.
And by the start of filming of second season, I should say, Rangers blew up. We knew how big it was. It
Right.
was dominating, toy market, whatever. They made. I don't want to say how much I know they made the first 17 months.
Right. Well, I think they've sort of said they made nothing. I mean, they didn't give numbers, but they said for what they were doing.
Oh no. Right.
Yeah.
So they're going. We know how much money you're making off of merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
We know how much we're getting paid. We want more.
Right.
They figured this is half the cast.
Yeah.
This is half the Rangers. And my understanding is Haim Saban said, here's some boxes, go clean out your dressing rooms. We got thousands of people that'll come and be on the show for what we're paying you. And that's when they did the nationwide Power Ranger search.
Right.
More free publicity for the show by holding
So
auditions across the country.
How was it on the set with like the crew and like was it really tense and terrible, or was it just business as usual? These things happen, or and you don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know, because keep in mind it was very few scenes where I interacted with the Rangers, other than a scene like this where we tripped Tommy and Kimberly,
right?
Or a scene where I did a scene or two with Catherine Sutherland when she came on. I remember, or at least maybe not even doing the scene, but at least being on set at the same time because we're on location filming something.
Yeah, here's another sheet that has you guys.
I didn't do much work. I didn't do much work really with Twee or Walter or Austin.
Right.
I did a little bit where I was around the Texas Trio. I really don't. I hate calling them that. It's easier, but I don't think it does them justice.
Mm-hmm.
It's Steve, it's Karen, and it's Johnny.
Right.
Kind of lumping them together. No, but I was on location with them more than I ever was with any of the other ones, except for Kimberly, AJ, who I've actually done the most scenes with, I think.
Yeah, I think because she had, there was an episode, I think I have some images you sent along. Yeah, here it is, where she was she kind of had Rita's identity for that episode. And
Okay. Now, another memorable moment, since you asked earlier, if you can get to there it is. Okay. If you look again at the actual episode, there's a shot where she bops Goldar on the head of the staff. And then she turns around and goes to swing it at Squat and myself. You can't see it too well because of the way the camera was and the angle.
Yeah.
One of the times we shot that, she actually broke the top of the staff off on my head.
Oh no!
And it was literally oh my God, are you? I'm like, it's styrofoam, AJ. I'm fine, really. A, it's styrofoam. B, I've got 6 inches of foam rubber up there. I didn't feel the thing. And they had to go and kind of
Yeah. I imagine the prop people
stick it back on there. Yeah.
I imagine the prop people were more upset about the staff than you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So I mean, that's another memorable. A lot of the things that I remember is stuff that didn't make it onto the show.
Right.
Like, for example, the day I was stuck in the costume and we were tending to the Tengas, I don't think any of that ever actually made it into the episode.
Oh, that's a shame.
They gave us a big giant bag that was supposed to be Tenga food, and they put they put balls in it that weren't quite, had like little knobs on them. that would you put batteries in and they would vibrate.
What?
So there's these big balls, so vibrating, so it looks like there's something living in this
Oh,
bag that we're
smart.
carrying in to feed them.
Right.
And then there's a shot of us playing cards because we're like kind of waiting to make sure they're ready.
Right.
And they, because Baboo had the extra claws on the back. Well, they stuck a couple of cards in my claws on the back. Squat had extra cards stuck in his boot and one on the back of his helmet. They just did stuff to be silly because it was funny, and it didn't.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, I want to see that. That would have been fun.
Yeah.
Hasbro, if you're listening, look through the old footage and find it.
Oh my gosh, what a great idea that would be.
Episode.
That would be
Exactly.
amazing.
Just a Squat and Baboo outtake would be hysterical.
They've sold the sets on on DVD and Blu-ray and streaming and Netflix so many times. If they want people to buy it again, extra features, cut stuff, put that in. That'd be great.
Okay, yeah, and I put that shot in specifically.
I was going to ask you about this. Yeah.
Okay, that was from the Face Stealer episode.
Mm-hmm.
That was actually shot. The interior shots were shot in the museum in the La Brea Tar Pits.
Oh, I've been to that museum.
Yeah. So that's where that was shot. And it was just because it was funny to have, I think Rito said, "Do not touch rare specimen and Squat out of order."
Right.
Again, it was just something funny that I don't know that was necessarily scripted like that. I'd have to go back through my sides and see, but they tried to just come up with stuff. What's going to be silly? What's going to look good on camera? There's a lot of trying stuff, and let's see what happens with it.
Yeah, and why not? I mean, that's you have the freedom with the kind of cartoonishness of those scenes. Why not go for it?
Exactly. And
to that, were you able to do much ad-libbing when on set for long periods of time?
I didn't quite hear it. You broke up a little bit, Big Dawg.
Oh, sorry. I said while you guys were on set for long periods of time and they were trying to get different funny footage, were you able to ad-lib it all? And to what extent, if you were?
Not so much. I mean, a little bit if what we were doing wasn't scripted. Here's the thing. Again, you can see my face.
Mm-hmm.
You can see my lips move.
Mm.
Therefore, I have to deliver the lines pretty much as written.
Yeah.
Because someone's going to voice over them. Even though it didn't look great when they did it with Rita, they still wanted it close as possible. Mm-hmm. As far as the other monsters ad-libbing, however, all the time.
Right.
Nice.
I'll give you an example. Ed Neal, who was the suit actor for Lord Zed, and that costume was specifically made for him.
Mm-hmm.
He was a stunt person from first season. He usually did Red Ranger. They made that costume just for him. He's the only one that ever got into it. He would never call Finster by the name Finster when it was scripted. He used to call him Sphincter.
Oh my gosh.
and I was like, oh. And as the monsters, we were allowed to fool around a lot more than the Rangers did after it got big.
Right.
Because from what I understand, they had a lot of Make-A-Wish kids come down to set all the time. There are always kids who wanted to meet the Rangers.
Right.
There's always kids on set, or family or friends of whatever cast member or whatever executive. So there was almost always kids on set.
Right.
Nobody wanted to meet the monsters. I don't know why. I think we're pretty cool and fun. But we almost never had kids, so we were allowed to kind of be a little off color sometimes, or do things that it looks funny, but we can't put that on a kid's show kind of thing.
You didn't always have to be on your best behavior because you weren't the superheroes.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Well, they say a lot of actors, and I'm sure you'd agree with this, a lot of actors say it's more fun to play the villains.
Absolutely. You can do a lot more with it. Kind of like when I will say we, mostly you guys, but I kind of participated, when we went through the alignment chart.
Right.
Yeah.
You're a lawful good character. You've got a very narrow box that you're allowed to perform in.
Right.
You're chaotic evil, pretty much anything goes.
Right.
So you can do stuff that you wouldn't think to do.
Matt Kendall Clare is remembering the bag you were talking about, and one of the other episodes, he basically remembers everything you're talking about.
Good. I want to see that. Does he remember us playing cards? Because I don't remember.
No, not that.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
we just
Okay.
lost the big dog. Oh, you're
Yeah.
back. Okay. Mortal Red Fox says, Steve, if you ever got to watch the action scenes being filmed, what can you say about the speed and efficiency on capturing those? From what I've seen, the Japanese productions move pretty damn fast. What did you see?
All right. When I started second season, first season they didn't. They had mostly American stunt people. Into second season, definitely by third season, they had what they called Alpha Team, which
Mhm.
was the Japanese team that did it. And a lot of what they did, it would literally be, okay, what can we come up with today? Let's come up with something new and different. And they'd practice for 5 minutes. It's like, okay, we're ready to shoot. It was literally,
Wow.
and it was always coming up with something new, and they always knew what was going to look good on camera.
Now,
I don't know how,
that Alpha
but they
team,
just
were
had that
they
sight.
from Sentai in Japan, like imported, like?
I don't know because don't forget at the time I knew it was originally a Japanese show, but I didn't
Right.
know all of what was involved with it. I
Right.
believe they were, but don't hold me
Right.
to that. I can't say with
Sure, no.
100%
Well, I
certainty.
mean, I only ask because it would make sense if they were able to, like, in 5 minutes figure something out and be ready to go. That makes me think,
Mhm.
oh, well, they've been doing this for 10 years already on another show,
I,
and yeah.
I'm going to assume that it was,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
like I said, if
Well, you
someone
heard it
knows
here
better than
first. Steve Andreno
yeah.
said it definitely was a team from Japan that worked on
Yeah.
Sentai.
Yeah.
Oh man. Oh, we're talking a lot about Power Rangers, but you do have a little bit of other acting experience mixed in there.
Yes,
And
I do.
you had talked. Well, why don't you talk about some of the other shows that you were on
Okay.
before we get too far down this rabbit hole?
Well,
If
Power Rangers was the first acting I did. I was actually on TV way back when I was a kid on a talk show in New York when I was in fourth grade.
right, okay.
Oh, nice.
I got to meet Christopher Reeve. This was him promoting the first
Ah,
Superman
Oh,
movie.
nice.
Yeah,
that's
and
so
I
awesome.
wish I could find the footage. I wish somebody would post it somewhere.
But
There was a show called Midday Live with Bill Boggs. Our teacher's daughter worked as a crew member, and they wanted kids in the audience for this particular episode to ask
right.
Superman questions. And our class got to sit in the first two rows, and I
That's
got to
awesome.
actually ask a question,
Well, if
which
anybody
was
out
really
there has
cool.
footage of that or knows where it is, send it our
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
But I will say,
Um,
you notice you weren't excited about meeting Lex Luthor. So, you also as a kid wanted to meet the hero.
yeah. Well, as a kid, yeah, because
Yeah.
as you get older, you start to learn the benefits of the dark
Yeah.
side. But no, after doing Power Rangers, again, with the extra agency, they didn't just do Power Rangers. I got called in to do an episode of ER.
hmm
Now,
Big time show for
again,
those that don't know.
huge show. This
Yeah.
was George Clooney became a star
Yeah.
on
Because
ER.
of VR.
Yes, he had done like towards the very end of the Facts of Life, handyman that worked in Mrs. Garrett's when she had the cafe type thing.
Right.
But he got on ER. He wasn't supposed to be the star at the time. It was Anthony Edwards was the star because that was Goose from Top Gun. Everybody knew who he was.
And the guy from Revenge of the
George,
Nerds.
yeah, well
Ooh,
that's it.
also that.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, George Clooney blew up on the show. I get a call to come in to do extra work on ER, and they said you can be an intern, okay, or the episode we're doing, we need Elvis impersonators.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Nice.
And my thought was, look, as Baboo, nobody can tell who I am anyway.
hmm
I don't want to be an Elvis impersonator and be on camera and still have nobody know who I am.
Okay.
I'm going to be an intern.
Mm.
Yeah. So I go in, it's me and this other guy, our interns, and they tell us, here's the scene. We're in a hospital room. There's a kid in a bed. George is going to come in. He's going to deliver a couple of lines and just say, okay, boys, wheel him out. And you guys are going to push the bed out through the door, turn the corner, we'll yell cut. We practice rolling the bed a couple times. They decide they want the other kid at the foot of the bed and I'm at the head of the bed, which means, unfortunately, you see like this much of my arm is all I got in the shot. But we practiced a couple times. Okay, great. They called George Clooney down to the set. Again, this is a couple of years into the show. He is part of the show at this point.
Right.
And I kid you not, he walks up. Besides the two extras in the scene, there's about 10 other extras watching just behind the camera. George Clooney comes out, says hi, shakes everybody's hand.
That's cool.
Hi,
That's
Gazbot,
classy.
how you doing? Hey, Big Dawg, this is great. Thanks for coming down. He's sitting there and he's talking with everybody. Yes, that was me on Facts of Life. So that just goes to show anybody can go from, from what you think is a nothing role to becoming a star. He's sitting there talking with us for about 20 minutes. And the director's finally like, George, come on now, we got to shoot the scene. And he asked the kid that was, the guy at the intern at the foot of the bed, what was your name? What's your name? And I don't remember. I'm just going to say Brian.
Mm-hmm.
So when he said, instead of saying, okay, boys, wheel him out, he goes, okay, Brian, wheel him out.
Nice.
So he even used the kid's name, and I'm like, oh, that could have been me. Which brings me to a quick joke for everybody. How many actors does it take to change a light bulb?
How many actors does it take to change a light bulb?
I
feel like the obvious answer would be 1, but that.
No, 100. 1 to do it, and 99 to say, hey, that should be me up there.
Ba-dum-bum-bum.
Nice.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Well done, sir.
I also did a movie called Panther, which was directed by Mario Van Peebles about the Black Panther movement during the 70s.
And you were the head of the Black Panther movement?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
The titular role.
I was an extra in that, and it's the only footage I know of that can be seen where you can actually see me pretty much as me on screen.
Now, were you like a protester or an angry mob guy, or what were you?
I was buying one of the red books from one of the Panthers on campus.
Oh, so you were a good guy.
Okay.
And the way they blocked the scene, blocking is how everybody's going to move throughout the scene, made no sense to me, because just as he's about to deliver his line is when they had me walk in, hand him the $1, and take the book. So I mean, literally, you see, it's a side shot from chest up of me on screen, and I'm like, yay, it's something I can say I've been in. The other thing I did was I did do a couple of episodes of Days of Our Lives. They called me in to be a police officer, one of the generic police officers in the police station while they were, somebody was being arrested or interrogated for something.
Right. That's cool. Well, let me ask you this. On your IMDb, one of the things on there other than Power Rangers is something called F Zone.
The F Zone.
Yeah, the F Zone.
All right. What I did for that, and I'm listed as IRS agent in car number 1.
Yeah, I think that sounds right. Yeah.
It's one or 2. I forget which. Really, that should have been an extra. Also, I don't know why they even gave me credit for it.
Right.
Because literally, it's a shot of me in the car that they shot from the back, and you can kind of see my eyes in the rearview mirror. I do kind of a look off to the side, like, okay, there he is.
Right.
and that's it. I think there was one other scene where I walk in. The whole story, from what I remember, and I've never actually seen it anywhere. I don't know if I could watch it anywhere. It's just about a doctor who decides that he shouldn't have to pay income tax. Like, income tax should be illegal. So it's him trying to avoid paying income tax, and IRS and the government coming after him. That's why I was IRS agent in car number 1.
Gotcha.
Yes.
It is funny, though, that part that wasn't even as big as some of the other things you talked about is the one that made it to the page. Like,
because I was actually given on-screen credit for playing that part.
Gotcha.
Just
okay.
like with Baboo, I'm not listed in the credits anywhere, although I am in the title, the credit shot. That's the opening of every episode for season 2.
Right.
Actually, not every episode for season 2. I think it's 3 or 4. I think it's 3 episodes in when they started putting Lord Zed in the opening credits.
Changed it up, yeah.
Right.
So I am in the opening credits from that point up until season 3, when I think it's episode, again, I think it's 119, somewhere in there, when they change the opening, when they're doing all the ninja outfits in the opening credits. I'm actually not in the opening credit anymore physically.
Right.
Again, I was never put in the credits at the end. It was always the voice actors who were listed.
And regardless of what people think of that being fair or not, just to be clear, it wasn't that you personally were being snubbed. None of the suit actors were given credit.
No. The only suit actor that was given credit, or suit actors, I should say, were the stunt people.
Right.
Because they weren't necessarily listed under the character they did.
They were just listed as a group of stunt
They
actors.
were listed stunt persons, and they'd be listed.
So now, is that something to do with it being a non-union show, or is it just the decision they made, or how does that?
That could be just the decision they made. I don't think that has to do with the union part of it. Although I don't know.
Do you think maybe, and you might not know the answers, but maybe back then in the 80s and 90s, suit actors, and I don't mean this as an insult, obviously I'm thrilled to have you here, but were seen as less important. And
absolutely.
And nowadays, because nowadays people know who was in the Godzilla suit. They know who was in this suit. They know who was in that suit. And
Doug Jones was the one that really kind of changed that.
Right.
Where people got, seeing him in Hellboy and Pan's Labyrinth, I think, really was the big one.
Right.
To see him do, and his movement to go, there is an art to that.
Absolutely.
That is acting. That's not something anybody can do. I'm going to be honest. I wasn't comfortable with it at first. I look at some of the early episodes and go, I could do better than that now.
Right. Because you hadn't embraced it yet.
Because I did it for a while. Now it's like, I understand more now. And I think that's true with any actor. Anytime you first start doing something or your first couple of roles, you kind of go, I could have done better.
Well, that's that's good though, because if you look at the first thing you ever did and you're like, that's great, you probably haven't grown much.
Exactly.
So this shot here you had given to me a while back. This is from you in a magazine, or what was this from?
Yes. Okay. Apparently during the 94, 95, so I don't know if it was after season 2 aired or early into season 3, they actually had a magazine out called Power Ranger Chronicles. 1 second.
I'm going to go to a 2-shot. Actually, while he's taking his 1 second, I'm going to take a quick pause from that chat because I need to announce who was the winner. Last 2 weeks ago, we had this Cruise figure, and the winner is going to be announced right now. And it is Nick Ellis, who left a comment on the YouTube. They weren't watching live, but you don't have to be. So Nick Ellis, if you're watching this on YouTube or wherever, send me your info, a private message, and I will mail this out to you as long as you're in the U.S. at our cost. You get a free cruise. Nick Ellis,
I didn't win?
Congratulations. No, I'm sorry, not this time.
I'm on the show.
Unfortunately.
No, I didn't put in for it. I wouldn't do that. That's to be sure. Okay. So anyway.
Oh, this
Mighty
is the
Morphin
magazine.
Power Ranger Chronicles, and this was issue number 7.
And inside there's more Zeo action.
Inside, and basically what they did was, first of all, there's a great picture to get autographed.
Oh yeah, there you go. So this was a monthly magazine that was coming out at the time?
I believe it was monthly. Oh, this is issue 6. I'm sorry, and they would recap some of the episodes.
Gotcha.
For example, Kat Sutherland's first episode.
Right. Okay.
Catastrophe. And I only bought this particular issue because once I saw that it came out, I started looking for, oddly enough, me.
You must be one of those actors.
I must be. And then,
there it is.
This is a shot from one of the caves. Now, again, this is not a shot that was really used in the show.
Right.
Because there were people that would just
take photos.
Take pictures or whatever.
Is that production skills? Is that what they call them?
Exactly. Some production stills is more to see how somebody looks in the costume and to keep it as a reference, or usually you're taking pictures of the set. So if something calls for you to pick something up and move it somewhere else, and then we need to reshoot it, they want to put it back exactly
for continuity.
It was. Exactly.
Gotcha.
So
okay.
That's a lot of what they take the Polaroids for.
Makes sense.
But like I said, there was a shot like this, I just had no idea. There was another shot that was taken of me and Squat that got used in a Halloween card.
I have that. Let me pull it up real quick. Somewhere.
There it is. I didn't even know about one of the gentlemen I worked with at my 9-to-5 job. Oh no. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah, I cropped it a little bit, but that's the card.
That's fine. One of the gentlemen at my my 9-to-5 job said, "Hey, did you know you have a Halloween card?" I'm like, "What?" No, he goes, "No, seriously, you're on a Halloween card. It's you and the other monster." And I went to the local card store and like, "Oh, yep, cool, there we go."
That's pretty awesome.
I've got a couple of those still, and of course doing the TV guide shoot.
Oh yeah, which I have that as well. Hold on. This is the. Why is that not coming up? Sorry.
That's okay.
There we go. That's the TV guide you're talking about?
Yes.
And then
now
there's
there were
insight.
shots in there of the Rangers also. It's each Ranger basically holding their helmet with them in the
Gotcha.
costume, so you can see their face, but who cares about the Rangers? So for this, so we got called in to do this,
hmm
and the shot that you had before that with the cover and then the one page
We'll go
was
back.
that one page was actually the last page of the monsters and the other two.
Gotcha.
Obviously, they wanted Squat and Baboo
hmm
for this, and they introduced Lord Zed. Well, they didn't want to bring in 8 different people to put on all the suits. So I got to be, besides Baboo,
Oh.
with the full makeup, I got to be the Invincible Flytrap.
Oh,
I
nice.
got,
Nice.
I got to be Octo Phantom, and on the other page, I got to be Robo Goat. And Melanie, as Squat, got to be Parantis Head, Primator, and let's see the other shot. Just remember who it was.
So basically,
So
everybody that wasn't a Putty or Goldar was one of the two of you.
Right.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And I know one of the putties for sure was Ed, who played Lord Zed, because again he's
Gotcha.
already there,
Right.
and he did stunt work before. Goldar was one of the putties, and I don't know who the other putty was. I don't remember who they did for that because I know it wasn't me.
Right.
Well, I was a putty one day. There was one day
Oh.
I was one day I was late to set because it was such a far drive. I overslept one day, and I got to set like at 6:15, and they'd already said, "Oh look, you were late getting here. We need to get somebody in the chair." So makeup. I said, "Oh, yeah, okay, I understand that, but since I'm here, is there anything else I can do?" Like, yeah, as a matter of fact, since he was going to be a putty and we had to bump him up, you can get in the putty suit.
There
I'm
you
like,
go.
okay.
Yeah, there
And
you
I
go.
just got
Nice.
to stand around. It was just generic shots of the putties deactivated on the steps
Right.
next to Zed's throne and all.
Oh, so you were yes, you were Z Putty then specifically.
Yes, I was a Z putty specifically. Yes.
Zip putty.
Yes. Zip putty.
So now this shot of you, this was done specifically, like all these were done specifically for that shot, the TV guide shoot. Yes. Now do you have, or could you get like 8x10 glossies of this? Like, 'cause that's like that would be a cool shot to have to get signed at a convention.
True.
I actually have Polaroids of it.
Oh,
I have
wow. That's awesome.
I have 2 different Polaroids of it. I don't know how well it would blow up.
Right. No, I was
make
thinking
8x10s?
more if you had like access to the original somehow.
No. I wish.
Right.
But no, they took Polaroids. It's not maybe of that exact shot, but
Right.
something like that. That I asked for. I asked for the time I did the first time I was in the suit on location. I asked for a Polaroid of myself,
Right.
thinking I'm never going to see this again. They're like, "Oh no, you're a regular character." And they gave it to me. I'm like, "Okay, cool."
It is great once again that you had the presence of mind to like have so many souvenirs and photos and keepsakes. And for those that are younger watching, it's not like everybody had a camera in their pocket. You had to make a point of getting a camera, bringing it. You couldn't really even do a selfie with those cameras. So
that's why I was late to set. I couldn't call and say, "Hey, I'm going to be about 15 minutes late."
Right. If you're stuck in traffic,
hold my makeup chair. One last memory, if you will, of something else that I've done. Some of your viewers may know who I'm talking about. Many of the younger ones probably won't. But another thing I got to do is Fox decided to throw a party for the Television Critics Association.
Okay.
Yes, this is an actual group of TV critics. They were debuting a new show that year called Models Inc. Only lasted 1 year as far as I know.
Okay.
Starring Linda Gray. Linda Gray
From
was Sue Ellen from Dallas.
Oh, I'm
The
thinking
TV
of
show
someone else.
Dallas.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, you're thinking Erin Gray.
I'm thinking Erin Gray from Buck Rogers.
But no, so Linda Gray from Dallas. She's the head of this modeling agency. So they decide they're going to throw this party. They have the party. They rent out the mansion that was used in filming the show Dynasty. Was not a set. It's an actual mansion in LA.
Oh,
so
cool.
they rent out this mansion to have this party.
That's cool.
And while we're doing that, since we're Fox, let's have a couple of Rangers too, just because. Okay, and they say to us, "Look, guys, Melanie and I were there playing monsters. This is, we've come under a little bit of criticism after first season, saying the show's violent, for little kids and teaching them to fight and stuff. So feel free to mingle. Don't fight. If any of the Rangers come up to you and do the hands on the hips point, then that's just your cue to kind of walk. Okay, you cower a little bit and walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then again, the cast of the Models Inc. show was going to do an actual runway show in the backyard of this mansion,
Right.
for TV critics. TV critics were okay on watching the show. They wanted to hang out with the Rangers and the Monsters.
Who wouldn't?
And I was Octo Phantom for that one too, so I had the little snout, so I kept like walking around like I was playing,
that's cool.
like I was in the cantina at Star Wars or something
Right,
like that.
right.
Everybody wanted pictures with me. At one point, and they tell us, mingle for 20 minutes. When you're ready, the universal symbol, pat your head. That's when you're getting tired or you're getting hot. We'll take you back up, get you out of the costume.
Okay.
All right. We go down, make one circuit, head back up, eat up there, head back down, do another circuit. We're getting the head back up. And as we're heading up, Linda Gray is coming out of a different room, coming down the stairs. Oh, wait. I need to get a picture with you guys. And again, it's kind of that, you're the famous actor. We're a couple of people in rubber suits, and you want the picture with a, okay, no problem. Let's
Sure.
stand there and take the picture.
That's awesome. And have you ever seen that picture?
I have not, although I am going to now write to her
Oh, yes.
and say, please, if you can find, I know she's got a Facebook page where you can get, just send a self-addressed stamped envelope for, for an autographed picture.
Right.
But I'm going to, hey, 25 years ago, if you remember this, do you have this picture anywhere?
That would be so cool. You have to at least ask.
Yes,
yeah.
I will definitely ask, and we'll see what happens.
We have been going a little over an hour now. Not that we're on a super tight deadline, but we could talk to you all day, and maybe we should have you back on another time because I feel like we've not gotten through all there is to talk about. But
okay.
I would kind of like to veer off a little bit from your past. Because there's so much of it, and again, like I've really enjoyed it. I think everyone's enjoyed it. But presently, I know you're doing some conventions and things like that, and you've only recently sort of got back into the convention scene.
Right. I did one convention in 2013 in Houston.
Is that what this photo's from? With you and the other Ranger actors there? It's got I guess it's a fan in front, and then it's got Paul, and it's got.
Yes. That's what that is from. That's Terrence Moon, guy I friended right after the show. Kept in a little bit of contact with.
Was he a fan, or is he someone with production that I just don't recognize?
He was a big fan.
Okay, gotcha.
And all right, so the way I got this is I actually knew one of the people putting on the con. He went to my church, and I didn't know what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
My daughters at the time were in a speech competition at the church. And George, as a reward to everybody that participated, I've said, I've got a convention coming up this summer, Comic-Con. I'm going to give everybody a free one-day pass. And he happened to have a flyer that had pictures of Steve Cardenas and Catherine Sutherland and Karen Ashley. And of course, my daughter shows it. She knows that. Oh, yeah, I worked with him. I worked with her. I worked with her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's all cool. And well, she tells this gentleman, oh, yeah, my dad worked with this one and that. And he's like, what do you mean your dad worked with him? Oh, my dad was Baboo on the show for a couple of years. Really? Does he want to be at the convention? Yeah, I'll be at the convention. Why not? And a couple of the shots you used, I got blown up to sell autographs for.
Right.
It's kind of a last minute edition kind of thing. And literally I got there and people didn't recognize me at first. Well, let's see. I've got a beard. I'm not all blue. But it took a second. They went, oh, God, yes. They kind of, squeezed me in. Let's, sit you right here. They had photo opportunities, which was, get a picture with all the Rangers, however much they sold it for.
Right.
Well, and they had specific times they were doing that. Like, this time on Friday, this time Saturday, this time Sunday. And all the Rangers got up and went. And they said, Steve, come on with us. I'm like, well, I'm not going to. Come on.
Right.
And then, they're carrying their helmets. Obviously, Paulie, Bolt doesn't have anything, but I'm
Yeah.
like, they've got the helmets. I've got Baboo. This is
There
me.
you go.
So I did that show. Didn't think anything. I mean, I enjoyed doing it. Didn't do anything else. Kind of let it go by the wayside. My daughter decided her small community college where we live wanted to do some kind of con,
hmm
because she mentioned again who her dad was. Oh my God, can he come down and do a con? So it was me and one cosplayer and a couple of local comic and toy stores, and that was it. So it was fun to do, just again to tell the stories. I enjoyed doing that. Anytime you see me at a convention at my booth, come on by, talk to me. Talking is free.
I could vouch for that too, because we met
Yeah,
at Power Morphin Express, and he loves to tell
right,
stories to his booth mates, the people coming to talk to him, the security guy walking by. He'll tell you a
whatever.
story, and as you could tell from this, he tells good stories, so it's definitely worth your time.
And then the other one I did was Power Morphicon. That one I found out about. I kind of saw ads for it, and again, it's something that was close to me. I didn't have to get flown anywhere, not knowing that the conventions usually pay to fly the guests out,
Right.
not knowing how it worked. I'm like, at least this one's close. And I thought about it, and I'm like, I want to go. I don't know who to contact. I don't know what to do. And I had gotten Paul Schreier's number from when I did Space City in 2013.
hmm
I shot him a quick text. I said, "Hey, Paul, it's Steve/Baboo. Do you know who I can get in touch with to see if I could appear at Power Morphicon Express?" And he goes, "I don't know if it's too late, but give Scott a call. Here's his email." And I'll be honest, I waited about a week, and I'm going, this isn't going to happen.
Why did you wait a week?
Because I didn't feel confident that they would do it. To be honest, I'm like, again, I had been out of it for a while. I hadn't been doing it. I'm like, they're not going to know who I am. I wasn't listed in the credits anywhere. I finally emailed Scott. I said, "Hey, Scott," and I just put in the subject line, "Baboo would like to appear at Power Morphin Express." Then I went, "Hi, my name's Steve Andreno. I was back 2 and 3. Would you? I know it's last minute. Is there any way I could appear at the show?"
Right.
Boom. Next day, "Sure, absolutely. Have you got pictures you can send me?" Okay. No question. No, who are you? No, we want proof. It was absolutely, send me some pictures. So I sent him some of the pictures that you've been showing here.
Right.
And his first response was, "Wow, I've never seen any of these." And I'm like, right. These are my personal photos. Unless you've seen me,
Right.
come to my booth, you haven't seen them before.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Scott's a good guy. He runs a lot of shows. I've done shows with him before, so I'm glad that you guys were able to connect that way.
Oh.
And because of that, you and I, because I live in California, so for me it was an away show, and I had done the one here in California, and I'm like, well, let me try the Texas one, and then you, me, and actually I think there's a picture. You, me, and Matt Frank ended up being all next to each other, and so it was we had a good little row there of the three of us for that show.
And it was funny. They apologized to me for not putting me in the actors row, because the actors row was
right.
But if you remember, my table was the first one you saw when you came in through one of the two entrances, and I'm like, why would I be upset about being put next to the entrance? I'm good.
It was you absolutely had the best table in the house.
and then talking to you and Matt was wonderful.
Yeah. And then also, Mortal Red Fox, who's in chat, was also there, and that's how I met Matt from Immortal Red Fox. Yeah, so
I remembered meeting him too, briefly, not talking too much. I'm like, I didn't know what Immortal Red Fox was, so I kind of was like, okay, I'm not sure. But then, of course, watching last week, I'm like, all right, this is kind of pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that was the other
thing. See, if you had sucked up to him a little bit more, maybe you could have been in an episode. Now,
if you want to talk about traveling to get to the show, George Long there is from England.
Oh, wow.
He actually messaged me. He found me on Facebook and messaged me either the same day or the day after my announcement was added to the PMX website.
Oh, wow.
Are you going to be there? Do you have 8x10 photos? God, flying all the way from England. And this guy he's been to
super fan.
Dozens of cons. He is England's super Power Ranger super fan. Absolutely.
That's awesome.
He had me sign a picture. It was a picture of the original 5, I think. That when I think I was the 33rd actor to sign this picture.
Oh, wow.
Dang.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Plus getting the other 2 pictures.
Right.
that I sold. Then he comes up to me a little later on because they had photo ops with the other actors.
Yeah.
And he comes up to me and says, "Hey, if I can okay it with Scott, would you be willing to do a professional photo op with me also?"
Right.
Well, yeah, of course I would. So Scott comes by 10 minutes later. "You're okay with doing this with I said, "Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it." So whenever you can fit me in, let's go. They come over like 30 minutes later. "Okay, you ready to do it now?" "Sure, no problem." He's the only one that got a professional photo with me. And then he
That's
brought that
awesome.
back, and I said, "George, I'll sign this one for free."
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Here you go. I appreciate
That's really
that.
cool. Well, and this is obviously one that was just at the booth that I found, I think, on your Facebook page. So unfortunately, I don't have the other one to pull up right now, but we know it exists somewhere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
Actually, I think I have a copy because he put it on his Facebook, and I think I copied it, so I have it somewhere.
Nice. But yeah, well, so have you done any shows since Morphicon Express?
I have not. I have gotten a booking agent since then,
Nice.
and he's been working
Nice.
on trying to get me out there.
So you will
I'll
be doing some shows in the future. Nothing you can
I will
announce
do some
yet?
shows. Nothing I can announce
Right.
quite yet, but hopefully on the YouTube video you'll put my links.
Yes, I will put
And
every
keep an
link
eye on
there is.
those.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'll put them
Well-
below, but also for those that don't know, why don't you just shout out, like, I know you're on Instagram and Twitter, like, what are your handles, on the various social media?
Facebook is Steve Andreno. Be careful. My father is on there as Steven Andreno, so leave the N off. And you can tell it's me because I think my little circle picture is a Baboo Pog,
Mm-hmm.
and my main picture is me at the booth, so it should be pretty obvious. And my Twitter and Instagram are both at Baboo Real, REAL.
Awesome. And is Instagram the best way to reach you right now, like if you had to pick one?
I'm still a Facebook guy.
Okay.
I'm old. I'm sorry. Instagram. But Instagram is better. I mean, I'm sorry. Twitter is better for me. I'm
Okay.
still trying to
Okay.
figure out Instagram. It's easier for me to retweet stuff. and
Gotcha.
Instagram is still I'm mistreating.
So everybody should find you everywhere you are. But Twitter is probably where
Pretty
they're going to
much.
have the best luck.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah,
Okay.
that's actually
Gotcha.
what I use as my picture. Oops, that was me on the
That's a cool illustration for sure.
on.
Yeah, that's the
That's the
Pog.
actual-
Yeah.
Yes, and I have 3 or 4 of those laying around somewhere back at my home in Houston.
Steve, are you? Well, you're not in Texas currently, but you do still live in Texas. Okay.
Yes, I still live in Texas. I'm currently working out of North Carolina
Gotcha.
for my construction work job that I do now. But the other thing I'm looking into doing is I'm going to be following, hopefully, in your footsteps.
Oh, how do you mean?
And
What? In what way?
I want to start a Twitch channel. Yes. Not that the Power Rangers market isn't saturated yet, at least not with what I'm doing, because I'm going to start Baboo's Monster Review.
Baboo's Monster Review. It
Monster
rolls off the
Review.
tongue.
Yes, it does. Everybody talks about the Rangers. Who cares? I'm going to focus only on the monsters.
Okay.
So starting off with obviously the head villains, Rita and Zed, and myself and Squad, of course, and Goldar and Finster and Scorpina.
Mm-hmm.
And she's semi-regular, I guess. But then also talking about the individual monsters, the one-offs, the one-shots from each show.
Right.
How often they were used, what their powers were, who had the best chance at beating the Rangers.
So,
No,
are you going to start like? Are you going to go episode by episode, like that minute, or?
what I think I'm going to do is talk about the head villains first. That might take up a couple episodes,
Mhm.
but I figure for the one-offs to do, I don't know if I'm going to do 30 minutes or an hour. I can probably do like 5 at a time, roughly. Do a few at a time and kind of compare.
Right.
And then keep running tallies of certain things, just the silly things. The show was big on, I don't want to say catchphrases, but repeating
Right.
phrases or repeating things a lot during the show.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Once JDF came on as Green Ranger, it was, how can we put Where's Tommy into this episode? Kimberly said Where's Tommy in like every other episode. Like a lot of the first episodes with Rita was, I have a headache.
Right. Right.
And as a matter of fact, in the episode where they turn Kimberly into Rita, she goes, I have a headache. and I'm just
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
really, guy. So keeping totals of stuff like that, you
Right.
know. And Squat and Baboo, of course, I'm not gonna say of course, but we're seen as the bulk and skull of the monsters.
Sure.
We were the comic relief, and
Mhm.
you know, bulk and skull, Baboo and Squat, B and S. I'm just saying, I don't know if that was intentional or not.
I never
You know,
actually thought about that. That's funny. Well, let me ask you this. You,
Yeah.
you and Melanie, who played Squat, did you guys get along well? Did you have a friendly relationship behind the scenes the way Steve and Paulie seem to?
Yeah, I mean, we never hung out like that. Again, it
Right.
was harder for me because it was such a drive for me to get to the studio.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
we had good chemistry working together. We never had issues.
Right.
After doing it for a couple of times, we started to get a feel who was going to move and which way you were going to turn to do things. So we
Right.
got things done real well. Um, when I got back in touch with her, I literally, I found her on Facebook. I'm like, Melanie, meet. I think this is her. And friend request, and the message was literally, "Hi Squad, it's Baboo."
Right.
And I got a reply back, "Oh yes, of course I know who you are, friend." So it was just that instant. Yeah, okay.
Nice.
Nice.
Well, that's good to hear. But so I didn't mean to cut you off. But so with your
Oh
new
no,
show, and it's Baboo's Monster Review, is that correct?
correct. That's correct. Like I said,
And it's going to be similar to our format here where you're going to premiere it live on Twitch and have people be able to.
yes.
And will you then possibly rebroadcast it on YouTube or somewhere else? Or are you going
Oh,
to be.
of course,
Okay.
absolutely. I'll do it on YouTube, and again, create a Facebook page just for that, and list them
Gotcha.
on
So
there
you're going to
like you do
do
with Action Active.
full legit.
Yeah,
And that's in.
I'm following the Gazbot model. It's Team Tour. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
There
Nice.
you go.
Well, I'm glad if I play a part in creating this amazing new show that will highlight the monsters that have been neglected by one of the most famous monsters there are.
Thank you.
Now, and this is something not immediately, but maybe in a few months is going to get going.
Yeah, it's gonna take a little time. I literally am binging episodes whenever I can.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Again,
people, what you could do now, anybody that's watching this or even watching it later, you have your Twitch account already set up, right?
Yes.
What is the name you have on Twitch? I don't want to say the wrong thing.
At Twitch is The Real Baboo.
The Real Baboo. So you could find
Yes.
The Real Baboo and follow
Mhm.
Steve right now, and there won't be any
Mhm.
content yet, but when he starts,
Right.
you'll get a notification, hey, a new episode's up.
And I've already gone on and named the stream Baboo's Monster Review.
Perfect.
So
But
I've got
Nice.
a little bit of it down.
that's great. But I want to make sure because follow now because 2 months from now, 3 months or whatever, because people might have forgotten. But if you follow
Right.
now, you'll get a reminder. That's why I just want to make sure
Right.
to put that in people's minds. So now you're binging Mighty Morphin primarily right now.
Yes.
Are you
Yes,
going
yes.
to eventually go beyond Mighty Morphin to seasons that
I
you
had
weren't
that
involved
same
in?
question.
Sorry.
Definitely,
Oh, all good.
definitely. Like I said, Mighty thing is about binging Mighty Morphin. Mighty
Mhm.
Morphin, 7 other Ranger seasons. When you
Right.
think about it.
Yeah.
First season, 60 episodes. Second season, 52 episodes. Now you're getting 20 episodes out of the newer show.
Yeah.
So I will
Mhm.
binge it, but it's going to take a while to get there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I might, and I haven't decided yet, I might do Mighty Morphin, jump into Beast Morphers, and kind of attack it from both
Ooh.
ends.
That's smart.
So go
And then
one
work
old
your way
one,
toward the
new
middle.
one. Exactly.
Right.
Gotcha.
So I can keep interest in some of the newer kids. I'm hoping, obviously, to generate interest because, hey, come watch
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
Uh,
So now, as far as we know, there are no official plans for you being involved with any current shows. But
Not officially.
if
But-
anybody said something to you like, "Hey, would you come back and do Baboo or whatever?" Are you open to that possibility?
In a heartbeat. Are you
Okay.
kidding?
Good. I
Awesome.
figured, but that's always good to hear.
Have me come do anything and I'll come do it. Yes, I haven't acted for 25 years. It doesn't mean I don't want to.
Right. So you
No,
are open
absolutely I would.
for sure. So if anybody out there is in touch with anybody that can do anything, he is ready.
You want me to do voiceover stuff? That's
Right.
fine. No, I did not do the Baboo voice. Honest, I really didn't like the Baboo voice. I didn't feel it. I didn't feel it fit the character, but
Well, I'm not going to touch that one with a
do?
10-foot pole, but
again, my personal
Sure,
opinion.
sure.
Obviously,
Hands
he
up.
was there. He was there before I was.
Right, right.
But
It looks like you might want to get in touch with Matt from Immortal Red Fox after this, because who knows, maybe
Okay.
something can happen there. I'm not trying to speak for him, but in the chat he's
And-
saying some positive things. So.
And I will say this, Matt. When I'm back in Houston, it's only a 3.5-hour ride to Dallas. Just saying.
There you go. Yeah. And maybe I could design. Well, yeah, maybe all of us need to talk based on that one. So I'm not gonna count any chickens, but who knows? Maybe some
And
Toku
of course-
pals can have a little fun.
Now, again, nothing's been announced yet for the next Power Morphicon Express.
Right.
Once it is, unless I have the most insane conflict in the world, I want to go back to Power Morphicon Express. I definitely want to do Power Morphicon next year when it's in somewhere in Southern California. I know they haven't decided yet.
Oh, it's not going to be in
Anaheim.
Anaheim. Yeah. Same here. That's
I don't know if it's going to be Anaheim again or back in Pasadena. That's all up to Scott. Although,
sure.
Kind of a quick, funny tie-in. My 9-to-5 job when I was filming, I worked inside the Anaheim Convention Center. I actually worked for the Anaheim
that's funny.
Area Visitor and Convention Bureau.
So you'd be returning home again in a way.
Very much so. Very much so.
Man, it looks like we lost Big Dawg again. But we're getting close to the wrap up. Like I said, I'll put all your social media in the show notes for YouTube. But is there anything else you wanted to throw out there that's coming up that you wanted to plug or remind people, or anything you want to say that we haven't covered?
I think that was it. I appreciate you guys for having me on. Thank you so much.
Oh, it was great.
Thank you.
I hope the fans enjoyed it. Please follow me, and if I can ask of you guys that are watching, reach out to your local cons. A lot of times they want to know who to bring in. I've tried doing it myself, and I know I've got a booking agent now, but if you start requesting, hey, can you bring in Baboo, Steve Andreno? Hey, can you bring... If they see that a couple times, it might stir something and might make them want to have me come out there.
Very true. Yeah, so please do that. Like I said, he's a great person, but he's also a great guest at a show, and a great guest on our show, as you could see. So, I don't know Steve very well, but the little bit I know him, it's exactly what you're getting here. It's an entertaining, warm guy that would be great to be at any con, and I can't thank you enough for being on the show, and I knew you'd be a good raconteur, but your storytelling was even better than I had hoped. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
And thank you
everybody that came out to watch and that will eventually watch it on YouTube.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I was about to say that. So we're gonna wrap it up for this week.
He's a regular. He knows.
Yeah, exactly. I gave away the Cruise figure. The Immortal Red Fox print will be given away next episode. So if you go back to that last episode and comment, you still have a chance to win that. But for now, we are going to be done. Now, I have been saying, may the power protect you at the end of the show, which is fine, but that's sort of Zordon's thing. So I'm trying to think of something we could end with. I was kind of leaning towards maybe power down, because we action activate and then we power down.
Power down.
So I think
Okay,
I'm thinking maybe we'll go with that and see if that sticks, and if not, we'll do something else. But I'm gonna wrap it up. So Steve, you want to say goodnight? You want to say goodbye?
Guys, thank you so much for having me. We decide to do a part 2 sometime in the relatively near future.
Absolutely.
Next week might be a little too soon for everybody.
It might be a little too soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to waste too much of a good thing. Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Keep them coming back for more. Exactly.
Exactly. Okay.
Guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely.
Again, one more time, thank you to everybody, to all my fans, and hopefully I can see you at a con soon.
Absolutely. And I am the Gazbot Knight, and Big Dawg, you are.
I am the Big Dawg Defender deactivating.
You are deactivating. All right, that's pretty good too.
Hey.
All right, well, so he's deactivating. I'm the Gazbot Knight. Thank you as always. See you again next week. I don't think we have a guest, but we'll have a show as always. And for now, we are powering down.